WP Bosses, episode number 20. We've got Anthony Hortin with us today. So let's go around and introduce everybody, starting with Paul. Who and where are you?
Hello, I'm Paul, Luxford, and I'm on the Gold Coast. And that's... Oh, you want more? You want more? Okay, I'll give you more.
Yeah.
I'll give you more. Here we go. I run a business called Gold Coast Business Websites, where I build WordPress websites and I teach people how to run their WordPress websites. And I also have another service called WP Genie, where I offer WordPress website care services.
And you do all of that from your car, correct?
Yes, that's right. That's where I am at the moment. It's my mobile office. So people can come to me, or I go to them, and then they jump in the driver, passenger side seat, and we have our meetings, and we go through drive-throughs and get our coffees, and it works wonders.
That sounds very efficient.
It is.
Sounds like carpool karaoke, but without the singing. A little bit.
Couple websites.
Couple websites.
We're always having ideas here.
Put that down. Put that down. That's a great idea.
Moving on. Tracey, who are you?
I'm Tracey Kemp. I have a business, I suppose, called Get Web Creative, although I don't do a lot with it at the moment, as I am working for an agency full-time. And I build WordPress websites. Cool.
I'm Robey Lawrence, and I also do WordPress websites, which is why I'm here. And I also try to do this podcast, which is pretty fun sometimes because you get to meet people and do podcasts from the car, etc. And meet people like Anthony. Anthony, who are you?
I'm Anthony. Well,
ta-da.
Ta-da. My name's Anthony Hortin. I'm a developer down in Melbourne. I just running my own business, Maddison Designs, and just predominantly just building themes for clients and other people basically.
Awesome. I'm going to jump right into it with the first question. What did you want to do when you were in high school, or just graduating high school, or if you graduated high school at all? When you were about 16 to 18, what did you want to do?
Probably doing what I was doing earlier, just doing development, programming. Before I was doing web stuff, I was doing PC-based application development or programming, C++, that sort of stuff. That's what I sort of originally wanted to do when I was younger.
Okay, so you've been doing it right from the beginning.
Pretty much.
So you were doing application development. How long were you doing that for before you got into the web world?
Oof. Yeah, that's going back a few years now. When I first came out, I didn't go to uni. When I first came out of, finished year 12, I was doing more sort of technical support type roles. And then I sort of, with some on the job training and sort of personal training, sort of transitioned into sort of doing more sort of development roles and getting sort of development roles. How long was I doing it for? It was probably 15 years, I'd say.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Doing PC type application type work.
Yeah, cool. I lasted probably 4.5 to 5 years working with computers. I wasn't developing applications, but I was fixing them and configuring them for people and fixing viruses, fixing printers, that kind of thing. But after 5 years, I just had to pivot. So well done, 5 years, good slog.
Yeah, I was doing support and also like helping set up networks and that sort of stuff, some networking stuff in that as well. So.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, nice. So did you get into the web space with an alternative to WordPress or a different tool, or was WordPress your first introduction to web?
No, I was doing web long before WordPress was around. My first web stuff that I did was probably 98. So it was just, well, at the time it was doing just a traditional HTML, CSS, and also, but also I was working for ANZ at the time, Australian New Zealand Banking Group, for those who don't know. And they were a big Microsoft company at the time, so doing ASP and MS SQL type stuff. And then obviously WordPress came around in early 2000s sort of thing.
Yeah, cool. So, sorry, go Paul.
I was going to say, did you pick up WordPress from when it first started in 2003?
No, the first WordPress stuff I did was probably would have been 2006, I think. Yeah, I think it's 2006 was the first time I sort of touched WordPress. I had a look at other. Probably I started doing more sort of freelancing jobs around then. And I tried other like CMSs like Drupal and Joomla and stuff, and WordPress was just so much easier to use, and also so much easier for like end users to use as well. So that's why I sort of stuck with it.
So you had left the bank before you started using WordPress?
I was probably still in the bank when I was using WordPress, I think. I think I left, well, actually, I think I left it 2006, 2007. I was doing some contract work.
Okay, so around the same time.
Yeah, roughly.
I did some research and actually already knew that you did some time at the ANZ Bank because you said so on your LinkedIn profile.
That gets used a lot.
What would you say is the biggest thing that you took out of that experience from working at the bank?
My people skills.
Yeah?
No. Probably my development and design skills. I did over the years, did a lot of training through the bank. And plus, worked with a lot of pretty smart people at the bank as well. So I sort of got to do a lot of different things, which was good. So
yeah, it's good.
I did learn a lot working for them.
That's one of the big things that you miss when you start freelancing and working by yourself is a lot of people don't dedicate that time to education, and then also you don't have other colleagues and smarter people around you all the time to learn from, which is why I'm always talking about co-working and shared spaces. That's something that really helps that.
Yeah, there's certainly a difference. I mean, one of the good things though with, I sort of especially sort of realised this probably the first few years I was sort of working for myself was that you get to do a lot of different things, whereas at the bank it's all ANZ this, ANZ that sort of thing.
What they tell you to do.
It's all working with financial data or, I was working in one of the teams, one of the last teams I was working in for quite a few years was the intranet team. So we looked after the internal intranet in the ANZ, building it and fixing it and adding stuff to it. But getting to work for yourself, you get to do, obviously, rather than working the same old stuff day in, day out sort of thing, you get to work on a whole bunch of different sort of stuff, for different businesses and obviously doing different jobs, whether it's designing or developing or whatever. So it's sort of pros and cons for both.
Would you ever go back to working for another company like a bank?
No. I enjoy
your freedom.
Yeah, I enjoy working for myself. It's good being able to do my own hours. work on sort of more interesting work, not have to travel anywhere. That's the bonus as well. So,
yeah. The name Maddison Designs, where did that come from?
Maddison was the name of my dog. So she got all my business. I named her after her.
Nice.
She's not here anymore, so. But
the name lives on.
It does.
Anthony, the Easy WP Guide, you started that many years ago now. What prompted you to get that up and running? And, well, explain to everyone what it is and yeah, why you did that.
Yeah, so Easy WP Guide is another one of my sort of sites that I look after or that I built. Basically, it's an easy to read WordPress manual, basically. It's a short version. I released it in, I think, good question now. I think it was 2013, I'm going to say, or maybe even 2011. I would have to go back and have a look when my first file was. Basically, yeah, it was WordPress manual I wrote. Because at the time, I love WordPress like you guys, but some of the resources on the WordPress.org website were pretty sort of bare and also just hard to navigate, especially when it comes to like user manuals and stuff for clients. There was a lot of information on like in the WordPress codex for using WordPress, but it wasn't very well organized. So
a bit of geek speak. Yeah,
it was all sort of mixed up with all the sort of technical the technical codex type of side of things as well. So it wasn't very well organized. So if you wanted to, so you couldn't just send a link to a customer to say, here's a manual, go read it, and this is how you use WordPress sort of thing. You'd end up having to send dozens of links because it was all over the place sort of thing. So basically, I wanted to write a guide that was easy to read. Actually, not surprisingly, one of the jobs I had at ANZ many years ago was writing user manuals for some of their electronic-based products. So, that sort of, came in handy that I've sort of done that sort of type of stuff before. But yeah, I wanted to write a WordPress manual that was easy for people to read and that I could, pass on to clients. I mean, when you give clients a site, you can certainly try and train them. But obviously it's harder when they're sort of interstate. You can do it over, Skype or something like that, or, Zoom or something like that. But I think it also helps to provide them something they can sort of sit and read and that as well. So, so I wrote a WordPress manual that I could sort of give to clients originally, and I kind of figured that other people would sort of find it handy, so I released it and let other people download it as well. And because one of the other things I found annoying at the time as well, I found a few different WordPress manuals available, but they're all really outdated. So like if you're like when I originally released, I think it was WordPress 3.3. And so like, any of the manuals I sort of found around that time, all the screenshots were of, WordPress 2.8 or, 2.9 or something like that. And there's like significantly different to what it was looking like at the time. So one of the things I wanted to do is basically keep it up to date. So it was, so it had like proper screenshots and so you could look at it and see the current screens rather than looking at something that's, 3 or 4 or 5 different versions old, or five versions old or something like that. So
is it a time-consuming job keeping that up to date?
It has. It's been a lot of hours. It took, when I originally wrote it, probably took about 4 months to write, sort of outside of the normal hours. When I was originally writing, it was just sort of like at night time and on weekends and stuff. And then updating it I update it for each major version of WordPress that comes out, and obviously depending on what changes in WordPress, it depends. Sometimes the updates are easy, other times it takes a few weeks to actually update. Annoying thing is the first version I released, I think it was like 3.3, and then the next major version they did a whole complete redesign of the dashboard. It was like, oh, I have to do every single screenshot again. It was like, oh, what a pain. But yeah, so yeah, it does take quite a while to keep updated.
I guess a positive from that is it keeps you pretty intimate with all the new features and everything in WordPress, like the customizer and Gutenberg, because you'd be reading all the new documentation and compiling all that. Yeah,
you sort of get to know all the screens. Having to go through it. I mean, I go through it, like as I said, when when a major version is released, I'll pretty much go through every single screen to make sure it hasn't changed, or if it has changed, then create a new screenshot for it. If the layout's slightly different or something like that. So yeah, you sort of get to know sort of WordPress inside out. Having to go through everything.
Have you thought about making it into a plugin?
I have. And that's one of the things I've been wanting to do. It's just, I just never get time, to be honest. That's the main reason why I haven't done it.
Another thing to do, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you get to because I noticed on the site that you sell different copies, like for a mobile version and a brandable version as well. How's that going? Are people buying that and utilizing those?
They are. Yeah. So originally I had like a PDF version, and I had the Word doc version as well, and I was giving both away for free. Then some people convinced me. Probably Tracey was probably one of them as well.
Probably.
Good work.
And Dee was a big influence as well. Convinced me to start sort of charging people for at least part of it. So that's where I started charging for the Word doc version, and also generated like the mobile versions as well, like the Mobi files and EPUB and that as well. So I do get. So the Word doc version is basically an unbranded version. I've removed it's just called instead of Easy WP Guide, it's just called, I just put WordPress Manual. So it sort of gets rid of my branding on it, if you like. So it means people like small businesses or whatever can put their own logo on it and give it to their customers or whatever. So I do. So people certainly do buy the unbranded version or the Word doc version, but probably 98% of downloads is the free PDF. So I do get some money for it, but it certainly doesn't cover the hours that I put into it. So, but yeah, it's certainly better than getting nothing. So, which is good. So,
yeah, that's good.
Kind of on the same topic of conversation, you also have made a couple of nice themes on the repo. You've got Ephemeris and Quark.
Yes, just a couple of I suppose starter themes, if you like. They're pretty lightweight, nice and fast, and sort of minimum styling that people can use to create your own website with. Ephemeris is just a recent one I sort of released sort of a few months ago. Quark was released probably maybe 5-6 years ago now. It's looking a little bit dated, but it still works well, and it's still nice and quick, and a lot of people are still downloading it. So
yeah, when I looked before on the repo, you've got like all the ratings and reviews, as everyone says 5 stars. So everyone that's used it must be pretty happy with it.
Yeah, the feedback I've been getting has been pretty good. Like with the reviews and stuff. The people who, well, obviously the people who leave a review. And yeah, I mean, I've had, you know, a bunch of emails from people thanking me for it and stuff. So yeah, it's been good, sort of well used, I think. So.
Have you considered getting into the premium theme space?
I have with the new one that I've released, Ephemeris. I sort of wanted to make a pro version of that with some extra features and stuff. That was sort of the plan. Hasn't happened yet, but that was just add it to my list of things. That was sort of the plan that I wanted to sort of do. Try and sort of, see if I can, well, first off, get a little bit of money, sort of, if I sell like a pro version, if you like, with some extra features. And then, you know, maybe if I can make some extra themes, it'll be good.
I noticed that on your Ephemeris theme that, on the 10th of August of this month, you had 430 downloads. And then you've got these massive spikes on the downloads. Do you do anything for that, or is it just people just suddenly go, and they just a whole bunch of people just jump on and download it?
You'll probably find. Actually, let me just go in there.
Because that is looking pretty good, those stats.
You'll probably find that's when I did an update on those particular dates, and
right, okay.
People updated the theme, so that's probably most likely why those spikes happened.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so you know, people getting updates in the dashboard and you know going and updating it.
Okay.
Have you done much work integrating Gutenberg into your themes yet? Are you working on that, or have you done work on it?
I have with Ephemeris. I've actually just the recent release of Ephemeris. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, I added a whole bunch of stuff for Gutenberg, namely front-end styles and also back-end styles, and a few sort of tweaks. I haven't added anything into Quark yet. Quark will probably be a matter of, you know, adding the same sort of styles, but just different colours and stuff, really.
How have you found working with the Gutenberg stuff?
Painful. Extremely painful.
Is that because it's not really kind of stable yet, or is that because it's just the way it's coded? It's all coded in JavaScript, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's all using React in the back end. So it's certainly a lot more difficult if you want to actually do anything in like the editor now. There's a huge, I suppose, skill jump if you want to start building blocks and stuff like that. I suppose one of the painful things at the moment in regards to adding, you know, compatibility, if you like, to themes and stuff is just the styles or the HTML that's sort of output at the moment. It's pretty messy. Well, not messy, but just not very good in some parts. Like, you know, your basic paragraph blocks, you know, they're fine, and images and spines. But when you get down to things like, you know, multi-column blocks or video blocks or embeds and stuff like that, it's just the HTML and even lists and stuff like that, the HTML that it outputs needs a lot of work. Table block, for example, they've got, you know, hard-coded pixel widths in the tables, so you can't, you know, change the width of the tables, and there's a lot of work that needs still doing, and even now still needs doing on the front end in the, you know, the HTML that they're outputting on the front end. And
do you
sorry,
think
I was just going to say in the back end, there's obviously the issues, you know, just using it. It's still pretty unstable, I'm finding.
Do you think it's heading in a positive direction? Do you think in 12 months' time we'll be pretty comfortable with using it?
Well, it's certainly getting better each release. Well, sometimes. Sometimes it goes backwards. You know, in 12 months' time, it might be really good. at the moment, I'm finding I don't think it's very usable at the moment. It's not very intuitive. The design itself, I think, has got a lot of issues. A lot of issues that they're reluctant to change. But it'll get better, hopefully. It's certainly, yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully, it'll get better.
If I gave you up to 3 words to describe Gutenberg.
Yeah, you don't want those 3 words.
Okay, moving on. What's your stance on page builders? And if positive, what's your favorite?
I don't mind page builders. They're good at doing what they're supposed to do, mostly. I don't think I've certainly got some that I like over others. Probably at the moment, Elementor is probably the favourite one out of all the ones I've used. Mm-hmm. I've tried a whole bunch like Beaver Builder and obviously Elementor and Side Origin and
Have you tried Brizzy?
No.
Did you try Oxygen?
I haven't tried Oxygen yet. No, this is a new one. No, I haven't tried that yet. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly. I don't have an issue with page builders. It certainly makes it a lot easier to do more flexible layouts and what you can do with the standard WordPress editor, tiny MC editor. A lot of them still have issues. I don't think there's one perfect one out there at the moment. There's like even Elementor, I've had issues with it before. Beaver Builder I used for a couple of sites myself, a couple of quick sites, but I won't touch it anymore just because I had so many issues with it. The editor not loading and crashing and stuff like that. And the HTML it produces is pretty horrendous. So yeah, page builders certainly they're certainly a lot better now than what they used to be. I think one of the issues with Gutenberg as well is that 1 minute they say it's not a page builder and the next minute they say that it is a page builder. I think the latest stance is that it is a page builder. They sort of kind of change their depending who you ask. But it's certainly not like Gutenberg. Certainly isn't as flexible as the the existing sort of or the popular sort of page builders out there at the moment. Like as I said, like Elementor or Beaver Builder, or probably the 2 most popular ones at the moment.
Yeah, I think page builders are kind of like cars in the way that they all have their pros and cons, and there's premium ones and there's cheap ones, but it's kind of good in a way to have the option. Some page builders work better for some workflows and others are better for other people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have to go to any of the Facebook pages that, there's people who will swear by Beaver Builder being the best, and then you go in the Elementor group and they'll swear by Elementor being the best, and everyone has their own sort of favourites, same as anything really. Everyone has their own sort of favourite development tools or whatever. So yeah, as you said, I mean, there's pros and cons for each of them out there. Some have more cons than others. I like for most of my clients, most of the time I'm just using ACF, creating custom templates and stuff using ACF and doing custom stuff like that.
Yep.
That works perfectly all the time.
How are you finding the Elementor integration with ACF?
I haven't actually used ACF with Elementor. I've used Elementor to create a couple of sites, but I haven't actually used it with ACF. Yeah, the stuff I've used Elementor for, they're sort of fairly sort of, not plain, but fairly sort of simple sort of basic sort of business sort of website sort of thing. So
yeah, cool.
Nothing too sort of complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, I've noticed you're kind of a design developer unicorn, as some people say. You're quite good at both. What do you prefer to do?
Yeah, I do both. Probably, I mean, I like doing design, but probably development is my stronger sort of skill, if you like. I've certainly done a lot more development over the years than I have of design. Yeah, so probably, development is probably, not probably, it is my stronger skill. So that would probably be the more sort of favourite one. But it is good being able to do both, or having at least some sort of, certainly not a fabulous designer by any means, but it's certainly handy having a little bit of design skills that, you can design stuff as well. So
when you build sites for clients, do you manage both sides of it, or do you outsource parts sometimes?
Most of the time, yeah, I'll do both. If a client comes directly to me to say that they need a website, then yeah, I'll design it and then I'll build it. Sometimes I'll have people come to me with a design and say, can you build this for me? Because, it might be, if it's an agency or another sort of designer or something, maybe they don't have the development skills or something like that. So I've certainly done that quite a bit as well, where other people have supplied a design and I've built it for them. But yeah, most of the time, if a client's contacts me directly, then yeah, and they need a website and from scratch, then yeah, I'll design it myself and build it myself. So
yeah, cool. I think I'd find that my wife does the designs for our sites at the moment, and because my design is not great, and I've learnt that, and it's much more efficient, and the end product is much better if Mel does it. But I'd find that difficult, I think, if someone was to come to me and say, we've designed it, can you develop it? And in my head, I'm just going, this design is terrible. I'd really struggle in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, years ago, I haven't done any work for them for ages now, but years ago I was doing a bit of work for some odd jobs for another design studio. They were primarily, designers, and they did a lot of print work and books and stuff like that. And I remember them coming to me one time. I had to give them a quote to build a site. They were quoting on a job for a dentist or something like that. And the design, they sent me a sort of a mock-up of the design, and it was just an absolute nightmare. It was yeah, I can build it, but you don't want to be doing this, and this.
I think we've all been there.
Had text angled right across the page, sort of, at an angle like this, going,
Oops.
like this. It was, and they supplied like a 4,000 pixel wide PDF. It was just, yeah, this is a mess. He can't build this. It was printed out on the paper. It looked beautiful, but it wasn't.
They were clearly print designers.
Translatable.
Exactly. It was. They just didn't. You could tell that they, hadn't designed for the web before. So, yeah, you do get some designs coming, or people ask, but usually, yeah, I'll sort of go back and say, well, you don't want to be doing this, or it's it's not possible to do this, or it's it'd be better if you did it this way, sort of thing. But so
yeah.
So Anthony, you've obviously done lots of different types of websites, the small business ones like you've just been talking about, but you've also done quite a lot of work with Woocommerce. Is that something that you like to specialise in, or would you prefer the simpler brochure sites?
I don't mind the WooCommerce stuff. Yeah, I've done a few sort of WooCommerce sites. Probably the last sort of bigger site that I did was a WooCommerce site for a bottle shop up in Sydney. Yeah, I kind of enjoy the WooCommerce side of things. WooCommerce is, I like WooCommerce. It's quite flexible in what you can do, and there's a lot of resources around for it now as well. Whether you're talking about plugins to do extra features or whatever, or like payment gateways and stuff like that, or even just blog posts on how to do things or how to using different hooks and stuff. WooCommerce has a lot of hooks, which is really good, which makes it flexible. This bottle shop one that I just did recently, there's quite a few sort of from the front end it looks just like a typical sort of e-commerce site or a WooCommerce site, but on the back end there's sort of a whole bunch of sort of custom fields and multiple prices that had to sort of take into account, and 2-for-1 prices and corporate pricing and all sorts of stuff. So doing that in WooCommerce wasn't too difficult, which was good. So,
are you good at optimizing WooCommerce sites? Making them load fast and all that sort of thing. I asked because I manage a couple of WooCommerce sites, and I'm struggling to understand. I'm trying to do all the right things in terms of optimizing them for load speeds, but they're still really slow in loading. And so I know what. Yeah, so I'm looking for somebody to help me actually. So
I guess
I reach out to you because it's
I mean, I haven't done a lot specifically with WooCommerce in terms of or optimizing them specifically, or optimizing WooCommerce specifically. I guess one of the biggest things is the theme that you're using. Again, like this bottle shop one I did, it works really fast. It's using one of my themes, and it's like a very lightweight theme, and it's on good hosting kinetics, and it's certainly, it's not on like a special VPS or anything like that. It's just on decent hosting, and I was looking at the site today and go, God damn, this loads fast.
That's what you want.
What is it? What's the site? I'd like to check it out.
Redbottle.com.au.
Redbottle.com.au.
But yeah, and like with caching, typical sort of caching plugin and decent hosting, it was
wow, that does load fast.
It's loading super fast. Yeah,
that was like points. I don't know. That was really cool. That's really fast. So Kinetics, Kinetics hosting. All right.
It is highly recommended.
Maybe that's my client's problems.
I think
say Kinetics are not a sponsor. Is that a YouTube thing now? I don't know.
They are a sponsor, aren't they? So
well, they are now.
They better be now, yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, probably the best, as I said, probably the best thing you could do is, starting off on a nice fast theme. Obviously, any sort of big sort of bloated theme it's just going to get even more bloated when you start putting WooCommerce and e-commerce onto your site. Starting off with something light, and obviously being e-commerce, it's always good to have it on better hosting as well, because you just WooCommerce does add obviously an overhead, but
the problem is that when you what's the word? Just slipped my mind. When you take over a site that somebody else has built,
it's hard. Yes,
with all that stuff. So
yes, I can understand that.
Go back to the client and say, okay, now we're going to have to rebuild your whole site again. So it doesn't go down too well. Not really. So
yes, it is hard. Probably if you're taking oversight, probably the best thing to do to start with is probably making sure the hosting is decent. Make sure caching is working well. That's probably a couple of good places to start.
Yeah,
I'll send you an invoice for that.
Nice. Entrepreneur, I love it. So we have a few other questions, don't we? Like
yeah. Oh, you go, Paul. Yeah.
Oh no, you.
No, you're right.
Ladies first.
No.
Chivalry is not dead. I was just going to ask the next question on the list. So if you wanted to ask that.
No, go for it.
Okay. Well, Anthony, so what do you do when you're not looking after, Easy WP Manual or building websites and building themes and thinking about plugins and doing all sorts of stuff with Woocommerce? What do you do outside of
and
all of that?
organising WordPress meetups?
That
do
too.
Meetups, yeah.
Do you have any other time? Do you have any time for yourself? I don't think you do. It doesn't sound like it.
It's yeah, not a lot. It kind of keeps me busy. I don't know what I do. Nothing.
Watch movies.
I was going to say I like watching movies and going to the movies. That's probably my favourite thing.
What's your favourite movie of all time?
Oh, that's a big question.
It is the ultimate question. Be careful how you answer this. if you can answer it.
Couldn't possibly answer.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Probably, probably my favourite all time would probably be Star Wars, probably.
Ooh,
That's, always been a fave from, childhood.
Yeah.
I've seen you like Marvel. What's your favorite Marvel movie?
Oh, that's a big call too.
Not any easier.
No. Oh man, where do I start? They're all good. Probably. Oh, that is actually hard because they're all so different too. Probably Avengers, the first one. The most recent Avengers one, Infinity War, was awesome as well. But it's kind of a two-parter. The next part comes out next year. Spider-Man: Homecoming. I love Spider-Man. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's always been one of my faves.
Anything else other than watching movies? Or is that all you do? Just do WordPress stuff and then go to the movies.
Pretty much.
Go to the movies and then.
Have you ever worked from the movies?
No.
You should do a podcast from the movies.
Right. You don't want to be in the same room as me talking in the movies.
Or you'll end up with a smack.
Or you will know about it.
Oh man, that's not good. Well, kind of sort of been trying to teach myself how to draw. So it's sort of something I've been I suppose, concentrating a little bit more on in the last few months. I always sort of doodled and sketched as a kid, but I've always wanted to learn how to draw properly or better. So I've sort of been spending more time trying to teach myself and learn learn how to draw better.
That's nice. What about family? Do you have family, kids, wife?
No. And no.
All right.
I have a sister who is fairly. It doesn't live too far away. I've got two sisters and a brother. One sister lives fairly close. Other sister lives over in South Australia, and brother lives up in Northern Territory.
Do you see them often? Are they?
No.
So,
it's awesome. My sister here, I sort of see regularly. The one that lives nearby, 20 minutes away.
Right.
Anthony, what do you want to be doing 5 years from now?
Not WordPress.
Assuming you've got Easy WP Guide as a plugin, you've got Gutenberg working in Quark, you've got all those other things done. What else?
Got a whole team of people working on the manual for you, so you're not having to do it.
I could barely tell you what I want to do next week, let alone 5 years from now. Honestly, I've no idea. Ask me in 4 years' time.
All right, I'll just put that in my calendar.
That's it. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard, you know. Who wants goals? What are they?
Win lotto,
That'd be nice.
not have to work to get it.
That'd be nice, but yeah, realistically, probably won't happen.
Yeah.
So, Anthony, just for a moment, can you explain your background? Is that like a DVD rack or something? And sort of, is that
Over that is there, but that's sort of. There's also a couple behind my computer that you can't see as well, so that's
wow, extensive
Yeah,
collection.
that's just a DVD rack.
Nice. And the bookshelf, you stack that up full of like PHP stuff and.
Oh, actually, most of the stuff on
JavaScript.
there.
JavaScript, anything on JavaScript,
Oh, there was a couple there, but I got rid of them. Well, put them in storage, I should say, because they're so old. Yeah, most of the books on that shelf at the moment are pretty sort of uninteresting. Yeah, a lot of the stuff on there at the moment is really old, so there's not too much exciting on that shelf. It did used to be filled with a whole bunch of different computer books, PHP and ASP and all that, but they're all really old and
Everything's online these days, so who needs books?
yeah, they don't make good paperweights anymore. It's like
You can't copy and paste out of a book.
Well, you can cut it out and then
Yeah, well, you could scan it in.
stick it onto your screen.
Okay, final important question. Will we see you at Wordcamp Brisbane in October?
not sure at this stage. I'm probably not at this stage, but yeah, I haven't sort of fully made up my mind, but yeah.
Okay.
I've got one more final question.
Oh.
I heard a rumour that there might be a Melbourne WordCamp coming up. Have you got anything to do with that, and is it true?
Ooh, good question.
Getting juicy.
No idea. There's been talk. Nothing. It's just sort of talk at the moment. Obviously, there's no one who's sort of, I suppose, stepped up to say yes, we'll organise something. Hopefully, there'll be one, but we've been saying hopefully for the last couple of years. The last one, I think it was 2013. I helped organise. I think it was 2013. I think. So it's been a few years now, but yeah, there has been a little bit of talk recently, but certainly nothing sort of confirmed. And there's sort of, as I said, there's no one sort of specifically sort of stepped up to start organising one at the moment. So
I have to keep our ear to the ground.
All
right. Well, thanks for coming along, Anthony.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
It's been good to get to know you. I've seen you online many times over the years, and I've met you in person once.
Yes.
And I'm sure I'll meet you again, but it's good to learn more about you. And
not that exciting.
Everyone's exciting.
No, thank you for having me on. It's been good to chat to you guys.
Yeah, no worries. One more thing, I forgot to thank our actual sponsor, WP Engine, for the Zoom Pro account that allows us to record these things reliably, unlike that one episode we did on Google Hangouts, and it failed miserably.
Google Hangouts mess, isn't it?
So yeah, other than that, bye.
Awesome.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.